Hi everyone, my name is Nina.
My name is Elijah.
I'm Leo.
Izzy, and this is our final presentation for our project for Social Work 305. The issue that we decided to focus on was housing security, specifically in the area of Detroit and southeastern Michigan, and specifically in regards to COVID-19. So this issue directly ties into COVID-19 because, as everybody knows, COVID-19 is a pandemic that requires the use of social distancing, which means that people have to stay away from public spaces. This means that a lot of people aren't able to go to work and have trouble meeting basic requirements for fixed expenses like rent. And there's also a high-risk situation for people who are currently facing homelessness or couch surfing. This means that people who don't have access to a place where they can have running water or sleep during the night are more likely to be more vulnerable to the effects of the disease.
Below is our website dedicated to contain and embody useful information for consumption regarding Detroit housing issues in relation to COVID-19. Our framework was inspired by emergent strategy, trying to spread awareness and solutions amongst our immediate communities. Starting with friends, families, and classmates, we hope to establish a pattern that can both represent a micro and meso level of change. If we can successfully involve our small local communities, we can magnify our level of change, causing a repeatable pattern represented by the emergent strategy. We decided to focus on Detroit as a community, dissecting COVID's impact and the city's pre-existing vulnerabilities. We hope this provides a more useful analysis and opportunities for specific involvement.
We used two core concepts from our class around community organizing and practice that were relevant to the project. The first of the concepts was utilizing several strategies, which was defined as approaches to mobilize individuals around issues, separable but also with mixing and phasing among them. This means that we're providing education on the issue for people who aren't experiencing it, resources for the people who are, stories of people experiencing this or organizing around the issue, and then opportunities for people to get involved or to donate. Our second concept that we're looking at is multicultural, which was defined as recognizing differences between groups while also increasing interaction and cooperation among them. This is relevant to our project because we aim to bring together multiple issues and populations to address a really big issue of housing insecurity. This includes people from Detroit as well as from Ann Arbor, Ypsilanti, and surrounding suburbs. We address the impact on youth as well as the elderly. We look at experiences of people who are homeless, who are at risk, who live in shelters, encampments, or just in close quarters with others. We look at people with different religious and political backgrounds. And finally, we provide a diverse array of opportunities for involvement to adapt to the needs of any person.
And thank you, Leo. Now I'm going to explain how our website really fits into the conceptual framework of community action and social change. So Elijah explained the levels it hits with the micro, meso, and the macro. And I'm going to explain the levels of community practice and the lenses we're using to really have this website create social change. So the first one is inclusive program development through the lens of multiculturalism, as Leo explained. So we have resources for people who have stable housing, people who have unstable housing, and people who are passionate and want to get involved or just educate themselves. And then the next model of community practice we really want to do is organizing functional communities. And this is through the lens of COVID-19. So a community doesn't really look the same anymore just because we kind of have lost that in-person contact. So this website is really supposed to be a place for anyone who's really passionate about this topic, wants to educate themselves or get involved. And those are the ways that it fits into the conceptual framework of community action and social change. And Izzy is going to show off our website now.
This is the homepage for our website. At the beginning, we have a brief blurb about what the purpose of this site is and what kind of resources it provides. And then down here, we have a map that documents rental housing, instability, homelessness, and COVID-19 in the United States. And then there's an interactive version of the map here. And then I'm going to go ahead and let Leo take it away from me for education.
So this tab of our website is focused on education around the COVID-19 crisis and homelessness, specifically in Detroit. So our first tab kind of addresses the overall issue of homelessness in the COVID-19 crisis. And then within that section, you can find some resources on what homelessness looks like in Detroit right now. Our second tab discusses Detroit's infrastructure. So it kind of talks about some of those pre-existing vulnerabilities that existed in Detroit. things like water, household income, and other pre-existing vulnerabilities that are impacting the people there and exacerbating the effects of COVID-19. Our third tab is youth homelessness in Detroit, which really addresses some of the root issues of homelessness, specifically among Detroit's youth. And there are some resources and information linked there as well. And then our last tab is on externalities of COVID-19 and housing insecurity. So things like intimate partner violence and unsafe housing environments, and then health and stable housing. And there are some links there as well that you can follow.
All right, our next tab is our resources tab, which is an amalgamation of resources available to people who are currently facing issues due to housing insecurity and COVID-19. So here you'll find resources such as an LGBTQ friendly temporary housing place where you can find a bunch of other resources, other temporary housing resources, and a support group specifically designed for people in the Metro Detroit area, related to COVID-19, and several legal services for people who are facing or who want guidance through the legal process of defending their housing, or for what to do if you do decide to withhold rent and what your rights are in that certain situation. And then down here, we also have Covenant House, which is a faith-based housing center that has a restorative justice approach. So it is focusing on providing temporary housing for youth in Detroit, but also helping them through long-term when they no longer need the temporary housing. And then I'm just going to go ahead and give it off to Elijah for our story, or I'm sorry, Nina for our stories.
Okay, yeah, so this stories tab was really important for us to include in our website. And this was really inspired by Nikita Oliver when she talked a lot about the power of storytelling and how it cultivates empathy and relationship building. And that's also something we talk a lot about in emergent strategy as well. But as far as our stories section goes, our first story thing is Detroit Sofa Stories. And this is an organization that uses theater to tell the stories of youth who have experienced housing insecurities and couch surfing. And the owner of this, or the founder of this nonprofit, Andrew Morton, he's really trying to take this theater and bring it to an online platform. So really changing the way that we share stories online. And next we have Covenant House. When they have a website, we link their website here to share the stories where you can go see stories of their youth and their journeys to independence and housing stability. And then next we have this organization which talks about employment and how to, this can be really useful right now, especially in a time of unemployment, where they take low-income people and kind of put them in agricultural jobs and help them learn the ways of housing stability. And their website also has stories. And then there is Detroit Eviction Defense, and they have several stories about victories they have won. And it really just shows that, like, not only do we have these stories of housing insecurity, but there are a lot of success stories. And this really is supposed to kind of like cultivate that like power that like you can create change. And lastly, we just have a story about Blight Busters. And this is an NPR podcast you can check out about their organization and a 17-year-old boy who worked with a bunch of people to rebuild his entire block. And next I'm going to hand it off to Elijah, and he's going to say how you can get involved if you're interested.
Great. So we wanted to make sure that our website was solution oriented, trying to create a clear way for people to get involved, whether that be volunteering, donating, or other aspects of activism. Our first organization is No Rent Michigan. It is a statewide coalition fighting for COVID relief amongst renters. Offers steps to connect with other community members surrounding housing injustice. It also provides a detailed guide containing specific actions on how to pressure, your local and state government. It also can connect you with local tenants and other community members to best discuss the situation as a group. Hand Up Detroit acts almost as like a GoFundMe for nonprofit organizations without like a reward system. But nonprofits are able to publish campaigns on Hands Up, and then donors are able to support campaigns they resonate with. So either if you want to fundraise or if you want to go donate directly, all of the money goes right to the cause and supports grassroots fundraising. Michigan Advocacy Program is purposed to provide affordable and accessible legal and non-legal aid to residents of Michigan. This spans a wide range of issues and demographics. You can use the donation link below, or you can also choose a reoccurring donation to fit in some sort of schedule. The United Community Housing Coalition is run mostly by volunteers, and it works to provide affordable and accessible aid to vulnerable members of the community. Their services help families retain their homes, and it protects neighborhoods. You can donate, volunteer by completing a volunteer form on the website, or become a member. Becoming a member allows you to see newsletters, client stories, updates, and future opportunities to volunteer. Also, you can vote in the annual board meetings. The Mutual Aid Network of Ypsilanti, Michigan specializes in housing insecurity and fights unethical housing practices. It is a Facebook page that is a place where people can gather and stay up to date with news, events, and major announcements. It also provides an opportunity to learn and support the movement through donations. Blightbusters is dedicated to the revitalization of Detroit neighborhoods. Really cool volunteering efforts include demolition, reconstruction of houses, mural painting, gardening, neighborhood cleanups. You can contact Ann George Silman with the email below, and you can volunteer in small groups. And it meets in Detroit almost every Saturday at 9 a.m. Lastly, we wanted to involve our personal resources and maybe use this towards a incentive to donate. I own like a screen printing press for t-shirts, and I've been printing for about 2 years. I'm putting out this opportunity, so if anybody chooses to donate to any of the organizations above, I can provide you a free custom screen printed t-shirt done at home. You can submit an order via the order form below. You just need to provide a receipt of the donation, and I will send you and make you whatever you send me, whether that's a design, a logo, a photo. I'm wearing a t-shirt right now that I printed. I hope that this is able to provide some of my skills in an area that can be an incentive to donate or provide help for a particular cause. I really appreciate you taking the time to look at our website. We want to share this with family, friends, and other community members. We hope that you feel inspired to do the same. We believe that this could be a good opportunity to, one, educate yourself, and two, just spread awareness and possible involvement in this pandemic that we're experiencing, COVID-19, and help out members of the Detroit community. Thank you for listening, and we hope that you found this helpful.